love the written word. What you write can always be redrafted if it lacks that element of, well, common sense. My spelling is abysmal, which is why I frequently turn to Google for help if the spell checker on my word processor gets too confused. Sometimes, I look at what I've written and realize that I have not said exactly what I meant. Other times, I know that I have been too accurate for my own good, and redraft in the interest of, say, not being sued or beaten to a pulp. It is the spoken word that cannot be withdrawn and is sometimes broadcast in a very public forum. Too often, words can be embarrassing to the speaker, and if we are in the right frame of mind, which I usually am, funny as heck to the listener. Some words are overused to the point that just saying them is comical. The words tragedy, crisis, catastrophe, and disaster spring to mind. It is as if our public figures cannot express the gravitas, now there's a frequent flyer, of their sincerity without using multisyllabic words where simple ones can make the point.
This just in, catastrophe in the downtown area. And of course, our own crack reporter, Haley Comet, is on the scene.
Steve, it's a tragedy. 200 people were just struck down by a meteorite.
Was anyone hurt?
We don't know yet. They are all in the crater buried under 5,000 tons of rubble. They could be having a party, or they could be dead. And that would be a real disaster.
Well, let's hope it is a party. That many deaths would be a real bummer.
Wait a minute, Steve. Here's a woman whose whole family are at the bottom of the crater. If she hadn't been late for dinner, she would have been down there with the rest of them. Ma'am, I'm Haley Comet with Channel 10 News. You know, the news show that always has you in mind. Can I ask you a couple of questions about this crisis?
Huh?
Can we talk?
Can this wait? She is in shock. Both of her legs are broken, and we think she has a skull fracture. She just missed being hit by a 1,000-ton meteorite, and her whole family is at the bottom of the rubble.
What a misfortune. I'm so glad I got to use that word. I'll only be a minute. I just want her to tell me what it is like losing her whole family in one instant.
Other words that have begun to get under my skin are 1. Problematic, ADJ, insurmountable difficulties, the state of needing a solution, i.e., if I run out of eggs, making this omelet will be problematic. An example of public use would be, getting 200 bodies out from under 5,000 tons of rubble will be problematic. Note, it won't be hard or even a challenge, it will just be problematic. They could always utilize a crane. If they just use one, they won't be able to move enough debris to rescue the victims. Healthcare. N. Before it became a political football, this one was fairly innocuous. It used to mean the act of eating nutritious food and doing something more physical than sitting on the couch scratching yourself in places that really itch. Healthcare didn't used to be something the government could provide. Uncle Sam has become more and more intrusive, but even he can't force you to eat your broccoli or drink your milk. Well, he can't do it yet, but I wouldn't doubt that there is a legislative committee looking into the possibility. What our politicians and newscasters aren't saying clearly is that you don't need care if you have health. When you need it is when you are sick or injured. If you are healthy, doctors, nurses, and dietitians might be able to give you advice on how to stay that way, but they won't have to take care of you. Chances are also pretty good that if you have health, you don't need their advice in the first place. To my way of thinking, what we should be trying to improve is medical care. Maybe better education about healthcare would help, but when it doesn't, and I'm in pain or ill, I won't care about milk or broccoli. And I hope that is the last thing on my doctor's mind, too. Now, for my favorite overused word. People who use it a lot just can't seem to find another word that makes them feel important enough. It is equally popular in the courtroom and in the Senate. Lawyers love flowery language, and the more syllables a word has, the better job they think they've done. This word is such a mouthful, you can hardly say it without looking serious or constipated. It is guaranteed to make the speaker sound, well, pompous if you want the truth. This word is scrutinize, to examine in minute detail. Example, I have scrutinized Maya, the wiener dog, from tail to muzzle, and I couldn't find one flea. I got a mouthful of doggy tongue, but I didn't find one flea.
Captain, I hate to say it, but the craft is shaking like it might explode.
Don't worry. This craft is as safe as the easy chair in your living room.
That's nice to know, sir. But my easy chair doesn't usually have flames crawling up its sides. Are you sure we're safe?
Of course. Just before we left, I asked the ground crew if this rocket was safe, and they assured me it was thoroughly scrutinized.
Oh, I feel much better. Then we can just ignore the smoke alarm?
I don't know. No one told me whether or not it was scrutinized.